This time, on episode 531 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss the Disney Plus series Agatha All Along, Season 1, Episode 4. If I can't reach you, let my song teach you.
I'm Damien the DM from Adventures in Aurelia, a collaborative storytelling experience told through a game of Dungeons & Dragons, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other epically geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Raised on X-Men, empowered by the Avengers, strengthened by the Defenders, webbed by Spider-Man, adopted by the Fantastic Four, and forged by S.H.I.E.L.D. Stand by for your Marvel debriefing.
And now it's time for your Marvel debriefing. I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm Agent Michelle.
I'm Agent Chris.
And I'm producer of the show, Director SP. Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. This show is recorded on Saturday, October 5th, 2024, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast from a Halloween-decorated suburbia wide. Michelle, what did we watch today?
Today we watched If I Can't Reach You, Let My Song Teach You, premiered October 2nd, 2024. The Coven faces their second trial on the Witch's Road.
Overall thoughts of the episode. Lauren, let's start with you.
So we're all agreed Agatha and Rio are totally exes, right?
Chris?
I mean, this is definitely a Doyleist observation here, but you don't get Deborah Jo Rupp just to kill her off like this.
Michelle?
Groovy wardrobe.
And for me, enough with the dark themed episodes, please. I don't think that's going to happen, but please, please, please. Hard to watch on a TV that's backlit. All right, we're going to start our discussion with Chris's observation. Sharon.
She's dead, at least nominally. And I don't believe it. And I have some theories, but I want to let y'all tell yours before I destroy you with my theory.
One thing I noticed is that while they're sort of arranging a grave for Sharon, the teen puts flowers on her. Specifically, he puts baby's breath, which means innocence and new beginnings. So, because it seems like we're getting a lot of different kinds of symbolism in the show, I'm betting that this is gonna be touched back on at some point, or we'll see the theme play out at some point.
We still have the fact that there was not a name on the list of witches. There was that Black Heart. So who is the Black Heart? We'll talk about Rio in a second, but there's also Sharon. They went through the poison and the antidote, the number of doses, that sort of stuff. I don't know. So much in play here, so much subtlety. I don't know if I care really that much, but I do know exactly what Chris said. You don't get an actor of her caliber and of her notoriety just to kill her off within the beginning of the show. So I don't know. We'll see. So Chris, what is your theory that's going to blow us all away?
Okay, so Kaylee and I have been having to fight this entire time. I still insist that Sharon is Blackheart, but I finally have Kaylee on my side because where did we see Rio pop up from? Sharon's grave. The teen just threw it out. Oh, did we turn Sharon into a zombie? Sharon is Blackheart, but Rio is also Blackheart because of shapeshifting, and they're the same person, so they are both Blackheart.
Did we ever see the two of them together?
I don't think so.
Huh.
No, don't think so.
Okay, there's some merit. There's some merit there. We'll see if you get destroyed in your theory or the rest of us get awed by your perceptive-ish powers. All right. So we all watched the episode and we all pretty much enjoyed it, I guess. Who had a favorite scene? Chris, did you have something?
My favorite was right at the very end. And I'm a person who tends to like closing scenes like that. but just the information drop and the reaction to it, I think, was the best part of this entire episode. And we'll get there eventually.
Lauren, did you have a favorite scene?
It was definitely the witches all singing again. I loved how it was shot pretty much exactly like you would expect a music video to be shot. Right angles and everything.
I'll say the graphics with that monster were pretty rad. What they're able to do with CGI these days is really cool. The fact that the curse monster, whatever you want to call it, was not seen until they started singing the song, which was pretty cool. And then they were able to vanquish it. Just the graphics with that whole thing. It was really cool. I don't think we would have seen anything like that just even 5 years ago. So just keep that in mind, what our expectations are on screen versus what was capable just a few short years ago. Michelle, did you have anything that popped out at you?
I liked it when the witches were just hanging out around the fire, trading stories, talking about how they're tired of the stereotypes that are, surrounding them and what happened to each other.
All right. So let's start off with Alice because she was kind of the nexus of this whole thing. And Michelle, what did she admit?
She admitted knowing that her mother is dead. Everyone thought that, oh, she's here to find her mother. Instead, she's like, my mother is dead. I'm here because my mother said that the witch's road would save me.
Chris, what did you think about Alice?
I think, she's going through this whole thing being their protective person. Maybe not doing the best job at it, but understandable because they're all still in a new situation, figuring everything out. And then they see that house and the Fire Nation attacks. And the sudden fear and anxiety that popped up on her face and just not wanting to go in there at all, knowing what was going on for them, what was going to probably go on in that house. It kind of makes me wonder why she knows, but Jen didn't seem to know. But also, this seems to be a lot more specific, whereas Jen's was just seemed to be a generic fancy house.
I actually have a realization about this. So with Jen's, since she is basically goop, that house was essentially her clients. It was all of that type of people that she was pandering to. And here we have a recording studio because of Alice's mom. And specifically, it's a 1970s setting because that was when her mom was at the height of her fame. So each house that we're seeing is a hint to each person's backstory and personality. And I'm really interested in seeing who's next and what that's going to look like and what the costumes are going to look like.
Yeah, I have that written down as a point, was that all the episodes are themed kind of like WandaVision. It's playing off that WandaVision theme, whereas WandaVision was TV. This is a little different, but it is themed episodes. Even the premiere episode, the first episode, was themed with that bad TV cop vibe. And now we've gotten the Housewives of whatever theme and then the 70s groovy theme. So yeah, I am like you. I'm looking forward to where we're going to go next with all the rest of the trials, especially Agatha's trial. That's going to be interesting unless we got, hers from the TV detective sort of vibe. Anyway, you have a comic book background to Alice as well?
Yes. So at the very beginning of the episode, I wrote down in the notes that in the comics, Alice's mom died fighting a demon. And I was like, so I wonder if that's going to be related to the fire, the hotel fire that killed her. And come to find out later in the episode, absolutely yes. This demon is a generational curse. It's literal generational trauma that she was trying to save Alice from. And I loved the observation later in the episode that the reason that she was pursuing this music career was to protect Alice. The crowd was acting as her coven and singing that protective version of the Witch's Road song. I thought that was beautiful and really interesting. And I love settings with fairly unique magic. And the more information I find out about how magic works for these particular witches and everything, the more I love it.
I don't think after watching this episode, there's any doubt that that demon started that fire on the road. I think that's pretty obvious. I'm wondering, though, since they're all scarred, if those scars persist or because the demon went away, if those scars go away.
No idea. But while they're comparing scars, I didn't write this down. I meant to. They're talking about, all the stereotypes about witches. And they mention the extra nipples. That was actually a thing from the Middle Ages. In fact, there's a book, the Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches, that was written about how to find a witch and then what to do with them. And one of the things that was mentioned were extra nipples, because that was where witches are supposed to breastfeed their familiars. And what these were moles, scars, any kind of marking. And the whole thing was, if you prick them with a pin and they don't feel it and they don't bleed, then it's a witch's teat and you can kill them. But unfortunately, what they used to do to guarantee witches, because there was a lot of financial incentives, and guess what? Most of the witch hunts were financially motivated, was they would have retractable pins, kind of like a stage knife or something.
See, that's all great information. I thought it was just a reference back to George Clooney's Batman suit. I wanted to get a spit take out of you, Lauren, because you just took a drink there. Anyway, let's talk about Rio. She came out of the ground and she started interfacing right away. There was back and forth with Agatha several times in the episode. What a rich storyline this has turned out to be. So, Michelle, what exactly is Rio? Why is she there?
According to her, she is the Green Witch. Like, there's no one else. She is. Not only did they summon a Green Witch, they summoned the Green Witch.
Indeed, with the voice that was definitely demonic with it too, right? So that was amazing there. Huh? But you also have her coming up with Revelation, and I want to say that the relationship history that she obviously has with Agatha, it is both painful, it's delicious to watch, and you just feel for these two because something has happened in the past that we're not quite sure exactly what it was, but we're all speculating it has to do with her child, and I don't know how this is all going to turn out.
I saw a theory that Rio might be some kind of embodiment of death, because while she seems to have control of nature, again, being the Green Witch, she summons a flower. Nature is also, it's not just life, it's also death, and that death nourishes the life, and it's a big cycle. Anyway, when she mentions, she's like, the teen is starting to die, and Agatha's like, stop it to her, and then he is fine. There's that. There's the fact that she seems very sympathetic to Agatha over the loss of her son. Oh, and by the way, we didn't talk about it, but in the very first episode, when it's still the detective show, in Agatha's house, there's a picture of a boy and there's a plaque that says like Nicholas Scratch, and he had apparently won some sort of award at school. I'm loving finding out more about the past and finding out more that makes Agatha a sympathetic character. Yes, she's a complete jerk, but not without reason, it seems.
Her attitudes here are really, really interesting. And I can't decide if they're really that bad or not. because once they have Sharon being dead, she just wants to get going on the road. And yeah, everybody else wants to sit there and be sad about it and give her the proper burial and everything. But they need to continue on their journey. When she sees that Rio is the Green Witch that's going to be with them, you can tell she's pissed about it. But what she does in her anger is just start to walk down the road, because it doesn't matter if she's mad about who's there with her. She knows that they need to continue on this thing. She gets Alice and like, I don't care that you don't want to go in this house. We have to go in the house. The road is making us go in the house. She's trying to get all of these other witches in her coven against Rio by showing how bad Rio is, but also trying to play Rio into following along what she wants to do. And I just really can't decide if she's trying to super manipulate everybody, just trying to push everybody along the road, or if she's just being super selfish, maybe narcissistic, and get what she wants, and who cares what anybody else wants.
We get the confirmation, I'll say, that she has gone down the witch's road once before, because they asked her how many witches survived, and she put up a finger saying one. I don't know if that's one plus her or if it's just her. That was a sombering thing. And when you think about not wanting to go into any of these trials, that the road is leading you into it, yeah, I don't think they have a choice. Either they do that or they perish on the road, which obviously can happen. And to get back to the house, the doors, I think those doors are pretty elaborate. I'm like, wow, whoever had to make those for the set had a good time with the moon and the multiple windows for the elements and the phases and that sort of thing. That was pretty cool.
Oh, between that and the costume design, like everybody here working on the show is just totally on point.
Yeah, the set decorators had to have a blast. There's so much just little background touches between the paintings of the various ways witches have died to the various posters on the wall, Fleetwood Mac poster there, and all sorts of stuff.
Lauren, here's the thing though. I don't think it's just the way that some witches have died. I think those are specifically the way that those witches that we're following along could die. Or at least those witches put into a scene.
This is true. We had the burning at the stake, which they could have burned in here, which is one of the ways that witches were sometimes tested, was basically just water torture. They'd tie you up and throw you in water. And if you drowned, you were innocent. And last episode, they all almost drowned. We'll see how the rest of those tie in as the series go, but you mentioned the costumes, and I did want to talk about that. The second I saw Patti LuPone, Lila, she's very clearly dressed as Liza Minnelli. And I mean, yes, it's a nice little touch because both of them were Broadway stars, Liza Minnelli and Patti LuPone. But I realized as I was watching, each of these is kind of based on a specific singer of the 70s. I was looking and trying to find, none of them were exact replicas of outfits as far as I could tell, but they were all very much inspired. So I was looking to see, okay, what are some elements I could find and try to link up who was who. As far as I can tell, Alice was inspired by either Carly Simon or Stevie Nicks. I'm leaning more towards Carly Simon. The teen, my first thought was Elton John, but the more I was looking, it's kind of more Davy Jones or very much Monkees inspired, which kind of makes sense because he's a teen and they were teen heartthrobs. Jen, I found a Chaka Khan outfit that was very similar to that, what she was wearing. And I'm wondering if the fact that Chaka Khan's first single is called I'm Every Woman might have something to do, well, her first solo single might have something to do with her portrayal. Agatha looks like she's dressed like Grace Slick, which makes sense because Grace Slick was a very talented singer with a lot of personal problems who caused a lot of problems for her band. Rio looks very similar to a couple of Cher outfits. And Cher was, of course, iconic and on kind of another level from a lot of other artists at the time. Like she and Chaka Khan both continue to have successful careers up to this day. So both of them have had hits in across like 5 decades. And I was a little surprised to not see more of a reference to Stevie Nicks because she's also known as the White Witch. But I guess that could be the posters and stuff on the walls. Maybe Alice's mom was supposed to be that sort of figure. I don't know. What do y'all think? SP is somebody who lived through the 70s.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was thinking exactly where you were going towards, like the Monkees or even the Brady Bunch, that sort of thing. So that sort of vibe was persistent throughout the entirety, but it was music focused. And talking about music, are we at the point where we can call this the Agatha All Along musical episode?
You're assuming that the other episodes haven't technically been musical episodes.
It's fair. That's fair. All right. Let's go back to the teen, because the teen, of course, is the nexus of a lot of stuff here. Rio makes a revelation to Agatha that I'm not sure I entirely believe, but Michelle, what do you think?
Rio says, Agatha, the boy isn't yours. First, how would she know this? I mean, we're trying to speculate about their past. So does Rio actually know where Agatha's son is? Does she know what Agatha did in order to lose her son? Does Rio know why the sigil is on the teen? Does Rio know who the teen actually is? But for Rio to just stare right into Agatha and say, the boy isn't yours, I think says a lot about Rio, because it's just, how much information do you have?
The boy isn't your child, or the boy isn't yours. That's two different meanings.
Or is Rio just being an asshole?
I think she seemed too sympathetic here. She seemed very regretful, almost.
Her scar is Agatha, yeah?
Yeah, her scar is Agatha. She almost apologizes with that, but not quite.
It's a mystery, and that's why we're watching it. All right, so Lauren, talking about the teen.
Yes. This is the second scar he's gotten on the road so far, isn't it? I'm not imagining that.
No, I'm trying to remember what the first one was off the top of my head. But he did get like a prick or something earlier.
Yeah. It was, I can't remember correctly right now, but I'm pretty sure that's the second scar that he's gotten from the road.
He got pricked because he was the innocent for the potion.
Yeah, but I feel like there was more of a glass or something. And here it was like glass shrapnel in his stomach. But while they're kind of making sure he's okay, Lila turns to Agatha and says 3 of Swords. She's mentioned different tarot cards before. Tarot's been on my mind since I just got a new set. It was a charity wrestling themed tarot card set, and I love it. But 3 of Swords means sorrow, grief, and loss.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's what's coming. I'm not sure if that's what's in the past. You could argue that since Lila has mentioned 2 different cards before, there's usually a 3-card spread, past, present, future. Could this mean we have sorrow, grief, and loss coming up in the future? We'll see, I guess.
I don't know. Chris, what do you think? What kind of trial are we going to get next?
I'm still trying to figure out if there's any kind of logic to how we're getting these trials and the order we're getting them specifically. Like, obviously, when you see Jen's, it's, okay, you just have a trial. You have no pattern to follow. You see Alice's, and like, are they looking at like most magical to least magical, backwards from that? It's not any kind of order for which they joined the coven with Agatha. Maybe it could be something to do with who had their power given or taken to them the soonest or furthest away. But I have to think that there is some reason that they're getting put in this specific order. And I can't figure out what it is yet. I'm also trying to make a pattern out of 2 things, and that's really hard.
Yeah, I'm hoping we actually get a flashback at some point in time, whether it's the penultimate episode or maybe it's dribbled in, of flashbacks to Agatha's first road journey. Now that we know that it's an actual thing, I think we could start to do that. I think we might be getting kind of the flashback the way that she did with Wanda in WandaVision, with Rio bringing her down that path of the nexus moment for her of giving up her child to get the Darkhold. I mean, that's what we're all still thinking has happened along the way here. And I think that the road was probably responsible for that. Whether Rio was in there or not, I don't know. But anyway, I agree. We'll see what order of the trials happen next. You have all the witches, so there's 2 more non-prime characters, I guess, if you take Rio and Agatha out. So we'll see what kind of trials and what happens next. Also, we're working on I believe a 9-episode deadline for this whole thing, and we're at episode 4. So episode 5 is next, and then 4 after that. So it would make sense to do like 2 more trials and then a flashback episode, and that gives us 2 episodes to fool around with a finale and maybe one other. I don't know. So, all right. Anything else for this episode, guys?
Lillian's flash forward vision things, she is dropping plot threads like she's Chris Claremont over here. And I can't wait to see what actually gets picked up and what is just there to be a red herring.
Yeah, I saw a note that whatever she says at the beginning of the episode, it basically happens by the end. Like here, it's like, Alice, watch out. I forget what some of the examples from previous episodes were. So I guess just keep an eye on her.
You're going to be clairvoyant. Might as well. I got a question for you guys, and a question for the audience too. How many witches are actually going to make it to the end of the road journey this time? Because last time Agatha said just 1. Are we going to have the entire troop that's still with us today make it through? Are we going to get Sharon back? I mean, what's going to happen here? What's everybody's guess? Chris, what do you think?
I think we are going to have 5 witches plus a teen, but toss up on whether it's going to be seen visually as Sharon or Rio.
Okay.
I want them all to make it because I really like all of them.
Yeah. Michelle?
Same, but I'm concerned about Lilia. I don't know. She had that vision of death. So I'm wondering if she might not make it.
I could see that. It'd be nice to have people that they can move forward with in the MCU, not just the main character of Agatha. I mean, we all think that Agatha was, or at least I do, think that Agatha was such an important character out of WandaVision that Disney was like, yeah, let's give her her own series. She's so delicious. Everybody loves her. Let's go ahead and do it. I don't know how they're going to meld any of this into the MCU, especially with Wanda now supposedly dead. So I don't know. We'll see how this proceeds. I don't know if this has any link into the Young Avengers that have been boiling for quite some time. I simply don't know. So we'll see.
You got to keep them all around as an ensemble cast thing, because when Agatha gets her powers back at the end, her real power is going to be the friends she made along the way.
Maybe.
Friendship is magic, after all.
Maybe. Guardians of the Galaxy sort of vibe. I like it. I like it. All right, everybody, last thoughts. Michelle, what do you think?
Could everyone just kiss now?
I agree. Lauren?
This is one of the few times that I really wish I could just binge this, because I want to know what happens next, and I want to know now.
Yeah, it's a story that's worth it, right, Chris?
I just can't wait to hear all the covers people are going to make of this song.
And what is the end game for this miniseries? That is my question. Next time, we're going to be talking Agatha All Along, Season 1, Episode 5, or miniseries Episode 5. And Lauren, if people want to get a hold of us, let us know how on par Chris is or how off the rocker he is. How are they going to get a hold of us?
Well, you can find everything about us at our website, legendsofshield.com. You could also call in and let us know in a voicemail at 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You could also join our Discord server and yell at us in there at gonnageek.com/Discord. And while you're doing all that, remember that we are a proud member of the gonnageek.com network.
All right. Looking forward to next time. This is SP, and I bought $100 worth of candy.
I'm Agent Lauren, and I am working on my Halloween costume.
I'm Agent Michelle. Just hoping that Christmas decorations don't come out before Halloween's over.
And I'm Agent Chris. I can't put together my new computer until Tuesday, and then I still probably have to wait.
Thank you for listening. The intro music heard on this podcast is Great Marvels of the World by Lynn Publishing, found on pond5.com. The outro music heard on this podcast is Cinematic Trailer by Ed Records, found on audiojungle.net. Other transitional music on this podcast is found on incompetech.com, audiojungle.net, and pond5.com. For more information about this podcast, please visit legendsofshield.com. Excelsior! Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2013 through 2024.